don't be shocked if Debbie manages to out racist or out bigot the mess. We always get confused. I always think, and this is totally sexist of me, and I have to apologize, ladies, you're out there. You can be every bit as disgusting and piggish as men. I give you the benefit of the doubt, and yes, RIP 2028. That was the year Portland was going to be added back to the map, and now it's not happening. Women, you can be oftentimes not just as awful as men, but even more awful. I believe in you. When I'm committed to equality, I mean it. You can be disgusting and horrible and racist and bigoted and gross as much as men can. You might have to, like if there's a big rock with a racial epithet on it, you might need some help lifting it, I suppose. Is that, I'm trying to turn this into something stupid and sexist, but I can't. It's just a waste of time. Anyways, so don't be shocked when we think, well, obviously the mess should be plenty gross. And but Debbie will swoop in and fix it for us. Hold on, here we go.
Joe Biden is running again, believe it or not.
I believe it. I've seen the ad, and I'm buying the merch. I believe I'm going to vote for him. I am going to vote for him.
You have a guy who can barely carry out this term. It's kind of like a runner. He's having trouble finishing the race. He's gasping.
And yet, he keeps setting records. A lot of people in marathons, especially that set records, gasp. They tend to do it because they're working harder than everybody else and they're way ahead of them. Just saying, the Infrastructure Bill, CHIPS Act, any of that shit, Violence Against Women Act getting re-upped.
No, you're not even sure he's going to get there.
I'm sure he's going to get there.
And then he's like, sign me up for the next marathon. I'm ready to go.
Unlike what? What's he supposed to do? Fold halfway through his term? Do your job for you? Ladies and gentlemen, I saw 2,000 mules. I'm not going to do it. Like, is that what he's supposed to do?
So what do we make?
What do we do? Debbie, help me out here.
Of this insanity.
And that's what it is. It's
insanity. It's sanity. And both of you are wonderfully, wonderfully sane, normally normal people.
Insanity. But it's insanity with a purpose.
Oh, yes. Driven insanity, like Hannibal Lecter, or the people who get a job selling ShamWows.
Because this guy wants to become president again because so many of his relatives are going to go to prison, and he's...
I see. Yeah, he's copying why Trump wants to run again. We're just going to grab why Trump's running again and just overlay it.
He's not going to be able to bail them out. He's not going to be able to give them a pardon.
Well, he's still got 2 years. I mean, if they hurry the cases up, I mean, then it's sort of counterintuitive. If he's running so that he can pardon his family, then one would think, why would he delay any of the cases, which is the other accusation, right? I mean, if I was Joe Biden and I was planning on pardoning these folks, I think I would go find them guilty quick as possible, so I got the pardon right here. Just guilty. There it is. Okay, it's done, right? As opposed to, I'll try it in my next term. I'm only going to be 80. I got plenty of time.
So he has to be president. That is the only thing I can think of.
Well, yeah, but that's because your skull is empty.
Because this man is...
I mean, this is a really interesting theory. It is that...
It is. It's really interesting. Debbie, you're very interesting. You're so interesting. I was thinking, that's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, wow, interesting.
Look,
as a matter of fact, every time she speaks, if I was sitting across from her, I think the only thing I would be able to manage is, interesting.
Because Biden's been president.
He has. I'm glad you admitted that partly.
So he's checked the presidential box.
Right. And he's collected all 5. No, he wasn't mayor anywhere, right? Yeah. He's collected all 3 in the federal. I mean, maybe he'll try for SCOTUS next. I think that'd be fabulous. I think Kamala should make Joe a SCOTUS just to fuck with you guys. The 10th, by the way, they expand the court one seat just for the rest of his life, however short that will be at 80 years old. He's there, and watch him just ride it the fuck out like Strom Thurmond. 104.
He's pushing 80, or has he turned 80 already, or either one or the other. In any event,
he'll be 82
right.
if he runs again in 20.
Yeah, he had a birth.
And he seems to be depleted and exhausted.
And yet, still cracked him up at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's almost as like he's a president dealing with a bunch of shit and doing it fairly well. It's weird.
So who wants
He's a puppet, right? Well, obviously, who would want him to run would be all the puppeteers.
to be that? Is that something that you would relish? So you're saying, no, he has an ulterior motive.
Absolutely.
His whole life is catching up with him.
Absolutely.
His crimes are being exposed.
Yes, they're all the crimes, the rape of E. Jean Carroll, the stealing of documents and refusing to give them back, the Georgia phone call, the attempt to subvert our democracy on behalf of two foreign powers. You're talking about Biden. I thought you were talking about Trump for a second. My bad.
Interesting thing is that, with this.
Interesting. Debbie and her desperate need to be interesting.
Blinken thing and the 51
intelligence
officers that have said that they kept the Hunter Biden laptop story out of the news because they.
No, they didn't. That letter came after.
They wanted him to win instead of Trump.
No, they didn't.
Well, perhaps.
And by the way, did it work? You know who kept the Hunter Biden laptop out of the news? You want to know who the single person who did the most to keep the Hunter Biden laptop story out of the news? You want the number one? Rudy Giuliani, because Rudy Giuliani had that hard drive called laptop, not from a laptop full of fakery and bullshit, for almost a year before he gave printouts from it to the New York Post. He would not give it to any of the news organizations, and he held it until October and would only give them printouts. Had he given them the entire contents of the hard drive at that point, by the way, it had been news everywhere because it had blown up all over the place. But somebody would have noticed quickly that almost every document on there, except for the Bed Bath & Beyond coupons, could not be actually verified or traced to any actual send date ever. Thank you so much, Mysterious Monolith. That was very sweet. Thanks for the super chats. Don't forget, like, subscribe. We're so close. We're like 16 subscribers away from 50K. It's going to happen. I can feel it. I feel it this show. I feel it. So, where were we? Oh, yes. So, if Rudy Giuliani had just released the thing, it would have been all over the news everywhere. But they also would have, gone through it and recognized that it was a farce. You wouldn't have even needed the letter from all 51 of those guys because anybody. Somebody knocking at the door? Making sure either the cat's trying to get out. I think Chip's been trying to escape. We let him out in the backyard to like walk around, to be a semi-indoor outdoor cat, and now he sits by the window and meows at the sky. And occasionally chases bugs by banging on the glass. So if I have to run out to make sure he didn't squeak his way out, he can't actually. He's big as a fire hydrant, so he can't exactly. Never mind.
If they didn't do that, if they didn't go through such great lengths to stop the news from becoming news.
They did not stop the news from becoming news. As a matter of fact, that it triggered the Streisand Effect, if anything. The problem is the reason why the Streisand Effect didn't work in this case, as far as drawing more attention to the contents of the Hunter Biden laptop, the laptop, which doesn't exist, the hard drive named laptop, is because Rudy Giuliani hid its contents from the news media until after the election by almost a year. And then even then, it has more data on it than the data from a model of that laptop could have held. The max was 256 at the time. The hard drive they're shopping has 416. This is just dumb.
He could have already pardoned him. And then we wouldn't have to put up with 4 years of Biden again, right? But the fact that they have delayed things, delayed matters, Biden and his family, because I'm pretty sure that it's not just Biden wanting him to run again, it's Hunter and all the other people. They're like, hey, whoa, you're not done. Remember, if they indict us, if we go to prison, you got to get us out of there, you know?
I mean, I remember the scene in The Godfather where they're...
Yeah, this is just like The Godfather. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'm gonna ask you to bring some ice cream. I swallowed a bug.
talking about the fact that they're really looking forward to deploying their operations out of Cuba. Now, why? Because one of the mafiosos says basically, listen, we've never had a country where we could kind of do our own thing. We would be unaccountable for our crimes. We'd be working with a friendly government.
So the Bidens are going to coax Cuba into being their operations hub because international extradition. No. But Guantanamo is right there, though. See, the problem I have with the whole Cuba analogy is that hasn't Hillary been hung at Guantanamo along with Obama and I don't know, a dozen other people 3 or 4 times at Guantanamo? I wouldn't want to be anywhere close to that place. It just doesn't make any sense.
And Michael Corleone, of course.
No, fill in the gaps.
And Michael Corleone, of course, nods and goes along. Now, Biden, of course, doesn't have...
I mean, what are you going to do?
He deals
Not
with foreign
nod?
countries, but what you're saying is it's something of the same thing. Because if the Biden regime retains hold of the United States, we become their Cuba. We become the, quote, foreign country that they can then control, and their...
Foreign country? Fuck stick, this is their country. This is our country. What? You do? He's a sit. Are we going back to Obama birth certificate shit? Good Lord.
Own
What?
Mafia operations will never become exposed. I mean, they are getting exposed, but there's still no accountability to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. And
well, I think it's you haven't exposed any actual crimes. You've alluded to a bunch. You've dreamed some dreamy dreams of Biden and China and Biden and money and I don't know, James Biden, Hunter Biden and billions of dollars and Biden. You've dreamed some dreamy dreams of criminality. And the entire laptop contents supposedly are available online, and you motherfuckers are still showing pictures of Hunter smoking in a bathtub. Get over yourself.
that's why I think that we as Republicans have to be very careful.
Very careful not to vote for Trump again. Because
How we tread the water right now.
Yes, you got to be careful how you tread the water. You don't want to, you got to tread very lightly when you're treading on water. Otherwise, you'll do you'll do something that's very un-Jesus. Like drowned.
Because, you know, self-imploding and having all these petty
Acrimonious
fights.
division.
Yeah, Republicans, why would you be fighting amongst yourselves? Come on. Don't fight amongst you. The Democrats are about to turn America into their own personal Cuba with cigars and old taxi cabs and an audio slave performing a reunion concert with somebody else singing for... I don't know.
Yeah, we have to remember that we have to win this election in 24 or we really are done as a country. I've been talking...
That's right. It's the last election ever. It really is. Now, I know what you're thinking. Many of you listening. You've heard this before. For decades, some of you. Some of the folks that are as old as I am have been hearing this shit for a very, very long time. And still hasn't ended yet, has it? Nope. But it's gonna. And this is it. 2028. I mean, it's like, hold on a second. I have the overhead light on again, and I keep forgetting to shut it off. It was 2000, Y2K, then 2008 when the economy crashed. That was going to be the end of it. And then 2012, of course, because the Mayans said so, even though they weren't around to see it. So I tend to be dubious about people whose calendars I have outlived. So anyways, well, in this particular instance, that was all bullshit, Joel. 2028, that's the end. End of America. We had a nice run. Pack your shit, everybody. I would start, pricing moving vans right now. I don't know where you're going to move. I think probably into the ocean. Water world, is that what we're going to do? Or are we just going to just drive straight into the nearest lake?
Talking about the fact that we are on our way to becoming Venezuela, but we definitely will be if we don't win this election.
For many election cycles,
he's already acting like Maduro. Can you imagine another?
He's totally acting like Maduro. And how is he acting like Maduro?
4 years?
Yeah, people would say,
oh my God, it's communism. We're gonna be communists by then. Maduro.
Hey, this is the most important election, 1996, 2000, 2004.
Yeah, you're onto something there, dipshit.
But I think we can see what has happened in the country just in the last 3 years.
2 and change, but yeah, the unemployment rate has gone down. We've got infrastructure being rebuilt. We basically stiff-armed Chinese tech development for the CCP for the next 10 years at least. Biden's cut $1 trillion from the deficit. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Communism, totally communism.
A real deterioration of basic liberties.
Come in.
Real breakdown of our institutions, an erosion of checks and balances.
Yeah, the checks and the balances. I agree. Clarence Thomas got to go. Thanks for bringing it up, Dinesh. Don't get me started on Kavanaugh, who paid off his debts. Am I right? That's not what you're talking about?
Previously held together, at least to some degree. The media, always biased, has now gone into full Pravda or propagandistic mode.
Well, obviously not since Tucker's been fired. I think probably Fox is trying to walk back from that line for themselves.
So we're in serious problems as a country, and I think you're saying the stakes are very high for.
Yeah, the stakes are super high. They really are. They're super high. These are high stakes times. The stakes are high, and they're medium rare.
They're very high, but listen to this.
Okay, I'm listening, because so far I haven't been convinced, but I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, so basically, Biden's commercials and all of that. Look what it says. It's essential to remind voters of what's at stake in 2024. This is coming from them, right?
Yeah, sounds like a run-of-the-mill campaign ad. I got to tell you,
yeah.
And to do so, we have to remember the issues like abortion access.
So that's key for them.
Protecting our.
That's something about that. I don't know, chicks. Am I right, Debbie? That's a big deal with them or something. I don't know.
Our climate.
Yeah, the climate. So we're going to, obviously we're going to abort all the babies because what's the point of having a child since don't look up. Am I right?
Curbing gun control,
curbing gun control. I'm not. Anybody think that's what that really says? I think they mean curbing. I think she means curbing gun rights, right? Because why would you curbing gun control would be something the Republicans would run on, I guess. It's just stupid.
Healthcare more affordable and making our economy work for.
Ew. Healthcare more affordable and making the economy work for everyone. Blech.
Every American.
Ew, fuck that. Every American? Even the poor ones? Boo.
Listening to it, it almost sounds, yeah, I agree.
Almost, except what? Except then you suddenly realize it's all a front for communism.
But when you look at it, when you dissect it.
Yeah, when you break it apart and rearrange all the letters, it says, I love Satan. Satan is my buddy. We love Satan. You're chanting.
It's like, guys.
It's like, oh my God, right? Because it's like, what? And I was like, and then I'm reading it. I'm like, it seems fine. But then I'm like, hold on. Let me check the label because MSG.
This is ridiculous.
You're talking about the extremism of their agenda, abortion.
Well, no, actually, she read the agenda as she understands it, which is fairly pitiful, but she wasn't making the case that it was extreme at all. She's saying she's looking at these things and they seem pretty fucking normal, but she's assuming extremity for the sake of politics. I'm being silly. I'm being a silly person.
For all 9 months, even laws that would prevent.
No. Nobody's killing a viable baby at the last second. There's no like abortion after birth. Shut the fuck up. You're making it up and you're ridiculous people. You're silly, stupid, ridiculous people. Fuck off.
And the restriction of partial birth abortion.
Yeah.
The restriction of partial birth abortion. Okay. First of all, partial birth abortion is their kind of buzzword about stuff. It's like they drag the kid out and then they whack him on a stone. It's very biblical. It's very Old Testament.
Climate has just become kind of a cult.
Yeah, totally. Like everybody, like suddenly everybody breathes the same air or something. I don't know. It's weird.
And it's become highly profitable for people.
Oh yeah, fucking that sweet wind money. Yeah, that's what we're gonna. I'm actually gonna corner the market on wind. That's what it is. Yeah, gone are the days when people will mine the earth for coal and oil and gas. No. We're gonna put a sky tax on everybody because then you'll have wind magnates that will own the wind in a certain area and charge anyone with a windmill a surcharge. Don't get me started on. I'm buying sunlight as we speak. I've declared. So here's the plan, and see if you want to work with me. And if you want to super chat, this is where the money's going to go to. I'm going to buy 666 Fifth Avenue, turn it into a rocket, not unlike the Tower of Babel. And then I'm going to launch it at the sun, where I'm going to plant a flag on the sun where it says and declare that I own the sunlight, and therefore every solar panel has to pay me a sunshine tax. That's my plan. It worked for the oil companies, just because why not underneath the ground? You know, if it works underneath the ground and they can charge you for that, what about up in the sky? Huh? That'll work. Fucking renewables.
Like Al
Not
Gore.
only that, but
Like Al Gore. Yeah, totally. Al Gore is just fucking Wolf of Wall Streeting it every fucking where.
But some of the things that they're trying to do with the climate is going to seriously make us go back 100, 150 years.
Well, besides the fact that it is, in terms of women and minority rights, that doesn't sound too bad to you guys. But I think you mean technology-wise. So let me see if I can grasp this. And chat room, please help me the fuck out on this. So the idea is that the Democrats, in league with big science, the climate activist world, and big tech, is trying to send us back to the dark ages before all this technology, because they're just tired of going to work in Cupertino or something. That's so the Democrats got in league with big tech so that we could go back to the old West. First of all, I would say to most Republicans, you fucking wish. And secondly, you're an idiot. I don't understand that at all. We're used to Debbie being ridiculous, but this is special.
Because our grids are so messed up.
They are so messed up. All of our grids. And it's almost like the president passed an infrastructure bill to help remedy that. And, obviously Texas is its own little fucked little mess. But, why would we work on that and try to improve it?
and they don't want, they only want electricity, right? And if our grid
Yes, we only want electricity in the grid. I just think in terms of the electrical grid, I think sending pudding through it is a mistake. I don't want to be too judgmental about this, and I will admit to a certain limited scientific knowledge that, is probably my second year science major in college, with a comfortable chit chat awareness of other science beyond that. But I'm fairly certain the electrical grid is for electricity, which has to be made somehow. And the idea is to make it in the way that does the least amount of damage to our air and water, because we can now.
grids can't take it. Guess what? We're going to be in the dark.
Oh my God. Not the dark, and there'll be nothing to set fire to except all the trees that will be. All right.
This is what they want.
Is that what you want, guys? Maybe we haven't powwowed in a while. Have we talked about this? So we want to transition to a wind, solar, geothermal, and nuclear, perhaps even micronuclear, and not burn coal and oil for energy because we want it to be dark. Is that the plan? Because I have not gotten the most recent memo. I thought the whole thing was so that we, at some point we're going to run out of oil and gas, and then it would get really dark if you don't have a backup plan. And then in the search for a backup plan, somewhere around the mid-'80s, people started realizing, wow, with a little bit more investment and a little bit more innovation, this stuff could completely replace oil and gas and coal over time, at least in the consumer, in terms of consumer vehicles and homes. We could save all the oil and gas, which we don't have a ton of, for industrial purposes. That seemed logical at the time, but apparently I was mistaken.
So Debbie's talking about repealing the Industrial Revolution to a degree.
Forward thinking.
So Debbie is talking about repealing the Industrial Revolution to a certain degree. It's the Brundle grid, right? That's what they think we're trying to do, for real. Does anybody play this shit back for them? And again, why would we bother to take over as Democrats? Don't we control big tech and big media and stuff? And what happens if the lights go out? And obviously we can't. Then people will start sitting around fires and reading books.
These progressives are,
and you
right?
got to imagine people.
No, not right. Debbie, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, sometimes I at least know what she's getting at. Sometimes I at least know what they're hinting at or trying to say, to manipulate their audience. This is just fucking dumb.
In India and China, these other countries coming up, just laughing at the nonsense that they hear out of the Europeans and the Americans.
Yeah, but that's because they don't speak English or German or French, and it sounds funny when you don't. It's hilarious, you know what I mean? Like, it's hilarious, you know what I mean? And don't get me started on all the different English accents, from Scottish to Australian to down south, whatever. It's hilarious when they hear it, especially if they don't know what the words mean. It just sounds like a bunch of funny noises. It's adorable.
And they're like, if you guys want to destroy yourselves, go right ahead. We're trying
Is that what they're saying?
to come up in the world, and our relative statuses are only going to improve as yours goes down. Joe Biden.
Oh, that's the idea that I guess the overall idea, and this is what this other guy, that what you dick as fuck show, this guy, that he's making the same argument that they're making. And the general idea is that the Biden administration is, even though they're doubling down on all of the Chinese sanctions, and even though they have set Chinese technology back a decade by limiting the kind of chips they can have, the kind of companies they can interact with. And even though they're doing all this stuff, the reason is it's so that they can more subtly destroy the entire American economy so that China and India, I guess, can rush ahead by burning all the fossil fuels they want and speeding into the future. Which one would think there'd be a way easier way to just kind of, to like sink the whole fucking thing. Am I right?